Right.
Thank you everybody for coming! Yay! I don't know how many of you knew, but Art was actually supposed to do a gig today over at Glen John with Sean Baker and the National Farm Law. So he is doing a gig today. Great! And actually I think it was on a Friday, it was in the nursing home. I phoned him up and I said, darling, I'm going to see you tomorrow on Saturday, because it's in Faversham. And he said, no, I won't be here, I'm going to a gig. He was really hallucinating in the end, and I think he was definitely on another planet. But I want to tell you how I met him, actually. I cycled into Whitstable on the Boxing Day in 1995, and posted a letter to my sister. I'd been on a road protest, and I didn't know where my next destiny was in a strange way. I thought something's going to happen. I'd finished running the club up in London. And I walked into the Neppy, and Arthur was there, and in those days you could smoke in pubs. Now, having been on the road protest, I started putting 3 Rizzlers together, for those of you who know about things like that. And he said, is that a joint? That's the first words he said to me. I went, oh no, I was just going to put some ordinary tobacco in it, honest to God. And then we started chatting. And I just took one look at him and I went, oh my God, this man's got the world in his eyes. And that was absolutely true. I mean, he lived in South Africa, Mauritius, Papua New Guinea, Camargue, Paris, Hong Kong. He really travelled the world, and he did have the world in his eyes. He wasn't just a musician though, he was a real captain of industry. He worked for Honeywell, Rolls-Royce, Birdseye, Bernard Phelps in Papua New Guinea, and is a father-in-law for those who met him at the funeral, the ancient old man, in Mauritius until he got chucked out. Never mind about that one. Anyway, so then he thought about me, which was very nice. He said, here's a real woman. But I thought, ooh, that's good. So then he invited me back to, he was living in Bethnal Green, but he was also living in the Harbour Lights at the time. In those days, you could get a room there for £35 a week, but it was communal bars and things. Now it's like 150 a night, for those who know about the hotel Continental. So we went to his number 13 room, and oh my God, we had smoked salmon, and we had food, and we had all lovely delights like this. Out of a drawer, I couldn't believe it. We just had this what do you call it, camping stove. And out of the drawer came prawns and rice and cheese, and I'm going, whoa, a man who can cook, whoa, it was practical. So anyway, we needed a car, because he was jumping the train from Bethnal Green every weekend down to the branch, and that wasn't particularly good. And I thought, right, let's get Rice Hotel on the road. I had a great big white Volvo, so we got that on the road, thanks to Christine's pizza, my neighbour over there. And off we travelled up to Scotland. Now, my father was Scottish, so I'm half Scottish, and I know the west coast of Scotland, you know, from Paisley, Glasgow, and up to Loch Lomond, and then further up to Glencoe, and then up to Oban. But I'd never done Edinburgh. I'd never, ever been to the east coast, if I get my dyslexia right, yeah. Well, or to Falkirk, where he came from, because his father was worked for the foundry, for the iron molding thing, so Arthur was very much into sort of that. But he was also the first one with his family to go to Edinburgh University and get himself a higher education. But anyway, there we are in Scotland. I met his man, I met his sister in Falkirk, and then we drove up in October up. I mean, we had a choice of either going to Pitlochry to see Branislav or to his spiritual home, Glencoe. We decided to go west to Glencoe, his spiritual home, where his ashes of his brother are. And we went to the Clan Haig, which is in Glencoe, and obviously, and camels aren't welcome there. Fortunately, we're Ferguson Maclurkin, so we were allowed there because the camels massacred McDonald's. And we parked in this Red Squirrel camping site. Lovely little gravelly kind of car park. And we put all our pots and pans in a tent, a Glastonbury tent, which we sort of banged down all the tent pegs, and we slept that night in the back of the Volvo. Now, looking up at the mountains, I must say we were all a bit inspired, and after, let's say it politely, the vague d'amour, I can speak French as well, je suis aussi fâché que c'est. After the vague d'amour, okay, suddenly we noticed our tent is blowing into the river. Oh Christ, get out quickly! And I didn't know that Arthur always slept with an axe underneath his pillow from Papua New Guinea days. So he went out with the axe, with his sporran basically, swinging free and a t-shirt on, with an axe in his hand to bang down in the tent pegs. It just so happened at that time that a car comes into the Red Squirrel camp with a full glaring lights, and we're the only ones there, and he starts charging with his axe after the car, and I'm shouting, also bollock naked practically, "They're only happy campers, Arthur!" He didn't hear me, he went charging after them, full mad Scotsman, axe in his hand, and they went, "Right, we camp here." And I think I got through to him that they weren't attacking us, that they were happy campers. Right, I knew then I had really taken on somebody on board with me. We then travelled to France in our car, and we had such fun, and we were always camping, and I mean we loved camping at Lounge on the Farm. In fact, you know, that conversation and that smoked salmon just continued to 20 years, which is a third of my life. I'm going to try and say this without crying. He was my sun, he was my moon, he was my earth, my fire, my water, my air. And it's going to be hard to breathe without him, but I promise you I will. The God that lives, the legend lives on. Thank you, folks.